Welcome to Ecuador. Ecuador is probably the size of Kansas in the United States, just to give you an idea of it. In these videos, we're going to give you some information on Goal 6, 7, and Goal 8 in the Millennium Development Goals. Goal 6 is combating HIV and AIDS, malaria, and other diseases. Let's just kind of start with a background on Goal 6. Diseases commonly found in Ecuador are yellow fever, malaria, typhoid fever, hepatitis A, and like in America, like the common cold and the like. All of these diseases are commonly found in Ecuador and are relatively contagious. Throughout Ecuador, healthcare is widespread. Doctors and healthcare professionals in this day and age often study in the United States, receiving an excellent education, and then return to Ecuador to provide healthcare bettering their economy. However, this has been a recent introduction to the Ecuadorian way of life, and Ecuadorians before and now still have an issue with reverting back to the traditional way that they believe to be true. And despite the fact that this healthcare is available, it is hard for impoverished families to afford it. Despite its affordable nature, and impoverished families are not often educated enough to understand that they need to go to a doctor. Much like the dialect of the local and the global, the local families will not understand that they need to go to a doctor because they don't know how to understand the symptoms of sickness, and it will cause them to struggle and think they have to spend more than they do because they are not educated on how affordable and available the healthcare is. That leads us to challenges. One very prominent challenge in Ecuador is the idea that American healthcare is non-traditional. So therefore, many families won't take advantage of the healthcare despite the fact that it's available and affordable, as I said before. Another issue is the location these healthcare facilities are. Within this Google tour, I'm going to be taking you to the Amazon and showing you the Shangun people and that live between the Andes and the Amazon rainforest, and they don't really have access to healthcare if they wanted it. And because of the traditional way they live, it would be a struggle for them to accept it, regardless if they had it or not. And that's an area that disease is most common. Another issue is there's groups of people living in diverse places throughout the country. Where disease is most common, deep within the jungle or outskirts of Ecuador, like the ocean areas, health professionals cannot easily reach or are not located. Challenges also include education and the importance of healthcare and life-saving immunizations. It is one thing to have healthcare ready and available, and it's another to convince the general public, who has lived a certain way traditionally their whole lives, that it is safe and okay to participate in. Chronic malnutrition is another challenge for Ecuadorians because many suffer from this illness. They are more susceptible to diseases like yellow fever, malaria, typhoid fever, and hepatitis A. A lot of these diseases are hard to keep contained once they have been exposed because of the vast amount of people that live in Ecuador and the small area that it is contained in. So now that we've talked about some challenges, let's go on and kind of expound on some solutions so that we can help and improve the lives of Ecuadorians and hopefully get them the healthcare that they need. So solutions. In order for Ecuadorians to take advantage of the healthcare offered to the general public needs to be educated and needs to understand that the opportunity to have healthcare is there and is more accessible and widespread to reach all corners of Ecuador to help stop the spread of these practically extinct illnesses in America due to vaccinations. If people in Ecuador were vaccinated, the number of diseases would decline significantly. Teaching children at a young age how helpful, safe, and beneficial healthcare is to their lives and their families will create a positive connotation on the system, eventually saving lives and improving overall health. So we've talked about kind of some background on diseases in Ecuador, some challenges and some solutions that we can use to improve the health of Ecuadorians. By combating these diseases, we can have a healthier country and improve the lives of everyone in Ecuador rather than just those in rural areas that have the access to healthcare and the education needed to understand how it works. Another thing is that Ecuador doesn't struggle with HIV/AIDS as much as a lot of other countries do. It's more of malaria and yellow fever. There are a lot of bugs and disease-carrying species that can transfer this disease, and that's the reason why this is such an issue in Ecuador, is because of the wide amount of species that live there and that can carry and transfer this. So we have the means available to help people in Ecuador because of the education that the doctors go out and get in America, but it is the traditional way of life that is a struggle for them to accept this health care. So we just need to improve the connotation of how it's viewed. Next, we're going to be talking about Goal 7, ensuring environmental stability, and I hope to see you to talk about that in my next video.